Hello and welcome to the JLML Offseason podcast, the last podcast we do before the season begins. Guys, the opening day is right around the corner. Teams feel set as they get in JLML. So, how we feeling, Paul? How you feeling about opening day right around the corner?
Opening day is a top 3 day of the year for me.
Sure.
I love opening day. I last year I took off work for it. I don't know if I'll do that again this year, but to me it's one of my favorite days of the year. Sports days, absolutely. Ready to get it going. It's been a long off season. A lot of change made with my team specifically. I mentioned it earlier at some point in the off season, but I think every player besides William Contreras, on my bets at least, has moved since the end of last season. Um, Maybe I have one or two of them back. I know I got one or two of them back. But yeah, I kind of tore my team down to the studs and rebuilt it, and see how it goes. Maybe it was the right move, maybe it wasn't. But I'm very excited to get it going. Very excited to get this going too, to kind of break it down before it all gets going.
For sure. Braxton, how you feeling, man? Opening
I
day.
can't wait to watch the Yankees tomorrow night. Unfortunately, we're gonna have the Usos appearance because it's Netflix, so that kind of blows. But other than that, I'm really excited to watch the game and to get the season going over here because I have a lot to prove this season. People are coming for me. People are calling me out already, and I'm here to defend my team tonight and throughout the year. So let's get it going.
Yeah, man. But Braxton, that's got to feel good because this time last year, no one was really talking about the Larks. And so, hey, I mean,
At least I'm relevant. Yeah, I got it.
At least you're relevant.
At
For
least I'm
sure. For
relevant.
sure. Yeah. So, guys, we have, Paul and Braxton has ranked teams in the league 14 through 1. They've come up with some ways these teams can improve, how things can go right for them, how things can go wrong, and some bold predictions for each. We will get started on that. I'm going to chime in with my opinion, my agreements, my disagreements, and my thoughts as we move along. But we're going to jump right into the rankings. And we're going to start with number 14. Paul, I'll kick it over to you. Who do you have ranked dead last?
It sucks to kind of take one team and make them 14, but somebody's going to have to finish 14. Based on their moves this offseason, it is the San Jose Churros. It is Nick. He's the new owner, took over for Dave this offseason. So Cody, real quick, Cody kind of broke it down. The four things that me and Braxton kind of came up with for each team is how everything can break right for this team. What specifically we think just has to break right for them to exceed expectation, to be not where they're placed currently. We'll also get into real quick, the doomsday scenario of their team. Like what else? A lot of it obviously has to do with injury, but I'm going to try and get into a little bit different things maybe that could happen. One piece of trade advice for each team. Take it, leave it. Tell me I'm dumb. I don't care. That's fine. And then one bold prediction for each team. So, like I said, the San Jose Churros come in at 14 for me. For them, for everything to break their way, half the bats currently on the pro roster are dropped or traded to make way for a new wave of churros, notably Charlie Condon, Travis Bazzana, Justin Crawford, and Ryan Waldschmidt. And they lead the way for some unexpected upsets this year. How it all goes wrong. No pitchers finish over 500 points, leading to the lowest pitching point total in the league, while the young talent on the pro roster fails to take another step, leading some players having the B word thrown upon them. B word being bust.
Right.
Trade advice is to use a few of the 43 prospects that's currently on the roster to condense and gain some 30-year-olds that will net bigger returns come the August trade deadline. because as we all know that once that kind of comes and we have clear established buyers, 30-year-olds can make or break a team in the playoffs, and the returns might be a little bit different than they are, in the off season. And then my bold prediction for Nick is that he continues to tear down from the previous owner, but is able to lead a couple surprising upsets over at least one playoff team this year.
Awesome. So I'm going to chime in here. I'm back and forth on kind of Nick versus Tita for 14. I'm curious, and I think sometimes we unfairly uh, evaluate Tita's team because we're like, oh, at any point he can flip it and he's going to have a different roster and he's going to win. But I mean, on paper today, I think the two teams are incredibly similar. However, I don't necessarily disagree with Nick at 14. I do really like the point you made about he's got some high end prospects that are super close. Um, you mix that in with Caglione, Parker Messick. I think that he can get the offense there pretty quick. Kyle Teal, I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. He's going to be out sometime, but I think you can get the offense there pretty quick. I don't know. I don't know how you fix the pitching. It's going to be a long road with the pitching. He does have, some. I've already mentioned Parker Messick. Elmer Rodriguez is a good prospect. Travis Sakura, Jonah Tong, Peyton Toll. But you need more than 4 or 5 guys. And I don't know where he gets those right now. So, yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see him upset a playoff team. I think if the guys he can get caught up quickly gives him a better shot to do that with his current major league roster, I'm not sure he's upsetting anybody. But if we're projecting that he's going to call up some of these guys, yeah, I think there's a window where this team could upset anybody, really. So, Braxton, who do you have ranked 14th?
I also have Nick at 14. I'm going to try to keep it as quick as possible because I know we're trying to speed this up tonight. But how it comes together early, Paul already said it. The prospects come up, especially on the hitting side, and produce early. But I also like that Nick has a collection, of younger bats that are already actual MLB players, like Francisco Alvarez, Kobe Mayo, Luis Angel Acuna, Brenton Doyle, Jack Haggs, those type of guys. Maybe kind of take that next step and help him out there. How it falls apart. All of his prospect arms that he's depending on come up and whiff. I think that Tong and Tolley and Messick are all going to have opportunities this year, and if they don't come out looking like how Nick wants, he could have an even bigger pitching problem than he already has. He knows he has a pitching problem at the major league level, which is why he's trying to kind of get those elite level prospect guys. But if we're talking about areas of improvement, he knows it, and I'm sure he'll do something about it. And my bold prediction is Jack Caglione's going to hit 30 home runs and is going to be a 1,000-point bat and just completely fuck me. I can't wait to see that happen. So
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you both agree on number 14 there. What about 13, Paul? Who do you have coming in at 13th place?
So you just mentioned him when you gave your 2 cents there, Cody. It is Tita and the Nashville Sounds. My little spiel there, I'll make it kind of quicker. For Tita, everything going right is Andrew Vaughn, Mason Wynn, and Lawrence Butler, the 3 players he kind of bought low on a little bit this year. All take a leap and become kind of stars in a way. Maybe 900-point bats or so. The way it falls apart is his pitching never gets fixed, and he finishes dead last, lower than the 13 that I have him at. And Tita is forced to keep rebuilding and keep acquiring prospects. My trade advice for him is keep stockpiling prospects. I mean, maybe even combine a few low end ones to get one higher end one. Because obviously we all know that stars are what drives the league. But for him, he's not going to be able to pay for stars, so you try and get stars when they're prospects. And my bold prediction for Tita is that he finishes in the top 10 in the standings and earns a top 4 pick in this upcoming draft.
Oh, wow. Yeah, for me, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I do think this is the worst pitching staff in the league, even worse than Nick's. However, when we're comparing total teams, Nick doesn't really have as solid of major league bats like Tita has gotten. Sal Frelick, Ian Happ, Kerry Carpenter, Lawrence Butler, Mason Wynn, Luis Garcia. These are not great but good offensive players that probably do push him ahead of Nick right now. But I do think that the pitching is just completely barren. And I feel like we say this just every time we record. We all know if you're completely barren of pitching, I don't know how you get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you solve. I mean, you need 10, 11, I would argue 12 steady pitchers. I can't imagine having 0. I don't know how you get to where you need to be. And so even though he has acquired, I'm trying to look here, how many prospects Tita has. Let me see.
30 something, I think.
30 something. I can't get down here to. Let me see. So, yeah, he does have 39 prospects. 39 prospects, but I mean, even like the pitching, Hunter Barco's kind of gained some steam with a strong spring. It looks like he's going to make the Pirates rotation. That's positive. But I just don't see a lot there to fix the pitching. So I don't have a lot of faith in wins here. Again, we know what Tita's capable of. I've never actually seen Tita with 39 prospects. That's actually kind of scary to think what he could possibly do. I think at the end of the day, and we talked about this in LM chat overnight, how difficult it is to acquire pitching in this league. I'm not sure if any amount of prospects is enough to get what you need. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the Sounds this year. Braxton, who do you have at 13?
I also have Tita, but I have some different points based on the 4 questions we've come up with. How it all comes together for Tita is that he's a dog and he continues to get things out of nothing like he usually does. I mean, he made the playoffs the first year of this league doing exactly what he's planning on doing this year. So if he can continue to do that and do it the way he knows how and has done it, then that's how it'll come together. How it falls apart, he either forgets how to manage or he checks out, which neither are going to happen. So I really don't see a world where he finishes last. I just don't. I don't think he's going to let it happen. I think that it would be amazing for me if he finishes last this year. So I just don't see it. Areas of improvement. I'm going to tell you all a little story. I go on voice all the time in our server. Everybody knows it. But Tita comes on sometimes and we have long conversations, about roster construction and everything. And he always tells me that if he can get this one young-ish pitcher that he's like in love with, he will not move him. And like he wants his goal for this year, or what he was telling me was that he really wants to get one pitcher and just keep him and have that be his guy and his rock forever. And my bold prediction is I think he devotes his season and he'll get it done. I don't know who it is. I don't know I know the make of it is similar to like my guys like Mizio or McLean or somebody like that. If he can get one of those guys, not saying he will for me because those guys probably aren't moving, but a type of player like that he's going to get and he's going to keep this year, and that'll be whether he's successful this year or not, is whether he can get a core of keepers, not just a pitcher that he wants to keep, but maybe a batter too. Maybe he holds on to Lawrence Butler and he balls like what Paul said. But I think that Tita's going to really start getting forever sounds this year, and we're going to be not expecting that, but it's going to do wonders for him in the future. So that's my 13th.
Okay. I never want to doubt Tita, but I just I don't know how that's going to happen. I mean, if we're talking that young, high-end, high-ceiling pitcher, so who all, Yuri Perez, McLean, Maceo, Chase Burns, you Savage, Bubba Chandler, are any of those guys moving for any pieces Tita's got right now?
I mean, maybe if he puts together something ridiculous, like, you don't know, he's got 30 whatever prospects, and not all of them are good, but not all of them are bad. Like, he's got some pretty good assets, I'd say. I'd say he could afford pretty much whoever he wants. What if he throws 15 prospects for somebody or 20 prospects for somebody? You're not going to miss those guys. If he offered me Lawrence Butler and 15 prospects for Cade Horton, I would have to think about it, probably. Right?
No, I think you would think about it, but I don't think you would do it.
I think it would be closer than we think.
We also now have a cap on prospects. It's not like the days of 40 prospects for a player aren't a thing.
No, I don't.
Unless you're like a John Haidt or, I mean, we're limited now in terms of, and I get it, like, it's nobody has enough to like buy somebody out to where it's a problem, but I very much doubt, and plus that wouldn't really help anyway because it's not like Tita's team is missing one player.
But I'm saying he wants these forever guys. He has the pieces to do it, in my opinion. So if he was serious about that and he's not having a good year or something, he might look to next year. That's what I did. Every move I made after week 15 or week 12 or whatever, when I was guaranteed to get the number one pick and there wasn't any competition, I made moves for this year and got younger players and everything. So maybe he does the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
Yeah,
it's fair. But what I'd also say is to the point of the question, to answer Cody's question, is I don't think that necessarily Tita should go and buy, Chase Burns or a Paul Skeens or a Yuri Perez. What he needs to do is kind of what all of us at some point do, which is luck into one of those kind of guys. Where you have 40 prospects, one of them just pops, and out of nowhere becomes that kind of player. I mean, because that's what happens at the end. Like, it's not like Bubba Chandler was the number one pick and we all knew that he was going to be the prospect that he was, or Chase Burns.
No, Nolan McLean was an ad drop by Jack mid last year, and then traded to Cody, and then traded to me. So, what do you call it? That's a thing. I know.
Examples of guys that were not heralded. James Wood wasn't a first round pick. Gunnar Henderson was a supplemental first round pick in the MLB draft. These guys aren't taken in the first round of these drafts, of our drafts, or even MLB drafts. But, they develop and they pop. I mean, there's guys that we have not heard of that are in minor league systems right now that are not on anybody's roster that will be top 50 prospects next year. I guarantee it. And those are the guys that, and Tita's good at it. He's good at scouring the waiver wire. He's good at reading reports and seeing all of what's out there, and just got to get lucky. And that's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Right.
To piggyback Paul's point, I do, and I feel confident in this. Our league is in such a place that I think the days of trading into a quick flip are over. And what I mean by that is this league, since the new group has come in, it's taken 3 years, has really balanced out. We've talked about it all season. There's 10, 11 teams that we think are quality enough to potentially compete for a playoff spot. Okay. That's kind of rare in a 14-team league. Um, and I just don't think the days of one of those 11 teams nuking their roster and trading a bunch of major pieces away for you to go buy up. I think those are over. I think the way you do it at this point in this league is what Paul is saying. You get your prospects. Now, I would constantly churn my prospects, trying to improve. Like, get to 40, 45, and then start trading 3 prospects for a better one. And here and there, and kind of work angles that way. But I just think that the days of super high end players for just prospect packages, I think those days are just over. If you look at our recent trades, when Ronald Acuna moved, it costed Nick Lodolo and I think Riley Green, and like, it's MLB pieces. There's prospects involved, sure, but it's kind of like we're at a point to where, hey, I will give you this really good player, but you're going to keep me competitive in the process.
Yep, I agree.
And so I think coming to the table saying, hey, I've got 8 prospects I'll move in a package, all of us 10 or 11 hopefuls are going, I'm not interested in that. You know what I mean? So that I do think that's a good point. It's going to be super interesting to see kind of what Tita does in what I believe is like a new era of JLML. I really do think we're in like a new era of how teams are going to maneuver. So that's 14 and 13. Let's go to 12. Paul, who do you have ranked 12th?
So at number 12, I'll have Scott and the Richmond Flying Squirrels. How it all goes right. The young Squirrels, led by Bryce Eldridge, Carson Benj, and Kevin McGonigal, become all-stars right away and take the team's bats to never-before-seen heights. Combined with a steady rotation that lets the bats win the games. The rotation does what it does. It won't be flashy, but does enough to let bats win the games instead of the other way around for most teams. How it all goes wrong is he's got a lot of injuries already, and they just prove insurmountable. And then the recent departure of James Wood, leaves the roster in question because there's a lot of late 20s, early 30s bats that are already weighing his team down, and having a bad record doesn't help that. My trade advice for him is to keep those young stars, keep the Benj, McGonigal, Eldridge type players, and use anybody that is 30 or older to get more prospect capital and just keep building through prospects. My bold prediction is at least one of this year's Rookie of the Years is on this team, is on this roster, potentially both.
Interesting. Okay. Brockton, who do you have? Well, before we do that, because you may have someone different, so I do want to talk about Scott's team for a second.
I got you. You're good.
I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say like, oh, I like this team, I think they're a playoff team, but don't you just feel like his team's about to pop? I don't know why I have that feeling that like a lot of things are going to break right for his team this year. Scott has been super patient and methodical in the way that he's kind of maneuvered since he joined the league. And, as Paul mentioned, some of those high-end prospects that are coming up, and then you pair those with, Bo Bichette, Nico Horner, Kyle Manzardo. I see a scenario where, Seiya Suzuki, I see a scenario where this is one of the better offenses in the league. I'm not saying the best. I'm not even saying top 3. But this is an offense that you're not going to enjoy playing. And then I go down here and I look at the pitching, albeit some injuries right now, but Scott has never had a Mitch Keller, a Casey Mize, a Ryan Papite, an Emmett Sheehan, a Brady Singer, a Brandon Fott, a Landon Rupp, a Shane Bieber, a Grayson Rodriguez, Andrew Painter is coming up. I mean, he's kind of like, I really see a scenario where if things hit right for this team, you're looking at close to 500. On the flip side of that, we cannot ignore the fact that there's injuries littered up and down this roster, which is real. And then a lot of those guys that I just mentioned are injury prone, right? Ryan Papaya, Grayson Rodriguez, Shane Bieber. Can he rely on those guys at all? For anything. You know what they're capable of if they're on the field. Can they get on the field is the age-old question. And so, yeah, this is a team. I feel like there's a big variable. Does he win 12 games or does he win 2? I don't know where I would put my money on it right now. Somewhere in between, maybe. But yeah, I would probably rank him 12th right now. But that's a perfect indication of how strong our league is, in my opinion. Because I could see some leagues where this is the 5th best team, and fifth or sixth best team, and we're talking about ranking him 12th. So, yeah, Braxton, I will cut it over to you. Who do you have at 12?
Y'all pretty much hit on every point that I was gonna say, so I'm not gonna repeat what y'all said, but I'm gonna give my bold prediction that Carson Bench is a 900 plus point bat this year because everybody knows how I feel about Carson Bench. I've been hyping him up all off season, and I thought that trade for James Wood that Scott made was a big win for him. It sucks that he had to go to John Haidt, but the fact that he got Benj and Walker Jenkins and more pieces. I don't remember exactly all of them, but I think that I can make another bold prediction that Benj outscores James Wood this year, especially with James Wood's early production in spring training so far, and he even has John Haidt posting in Maine about how he's going to get Rage traded. We'll see about that. I don't know about that, but I believe in Benj. I think he's going to be great. So that's a really good core piece to have for Scott there. So
Sure.
yeah.
One more point I kind of want to make here because I find it very interesting when I look at this roster is Scott has literally held on to Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee for quite some time, and I know for a fact he's received a litany of trade offers for both those players in the last 2 to 3 years, and he's turned them all down. And it's been very interesting because I think we all can agree their value meter is trending the wrong way, but that also makes me feel like this is where they start to pop up, right? Everybody's pretty much wrote Brooks Lee off. The guy is, he's still 25 years old. Hasn't been great so far in the early stages, but Scott's held on to him. Clearly, he's got some faith. And so, yeah, I just keep seeing pieces on this team where I'm like, yeah, I see the vision. You know what I mean? I see
You're
where
talking
this
as the
could
Brooks
go.
Lee owner and the 30 man. So
Do what?
you're talking as the Brooks Lee owner in the 30 man. So
Right. And so there may be a little, like, obviously I believe in him enough where I've held on to him in another league. But, for me, I just find it interesting that Scott has sit on both of those players through. I mean, Royce Lewis plays in 30 games a year. That has to be so frustrating. And in the 30 games he plays, he's a superstar, but you just can't get him on the field. So, super interesting to see what Scott's team does. So we'll move on here, and we will go to number 11. Paul, who do you have ranked at 11?
Yeah, so before I get to that real quick, I think the top 2 teams in this league are pretty well established, and the bottom 2 teams are pretty well established.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 through 12, that's including Scott, who we just talked about. It can go a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I think top 2 is pretty safe. I think bottom 2 is pretty safe. I think everything in between up for grabs. So having said that, at what is this, 11? At 11, I have Greensboro and I have Jack. I don't know where Bracton has him, but that's
I
where I have
actually
him.
have him 11 too. I was just
There you
asking
go.
Cody about that before we started.
Consensus 11?
So,
Lock-
Dude,
we're-
Jack's going to lose it.
I was
Lock
expecting you to
step
say
here.
me there, Paul. That's why I was preparing for it.
You'll
But
be
all right,
surprised where I have you, Bracton. We'll get
all
there.
right,
But
good. I'm ready for that. That's good.
so all goes right for Jack here. His pitching returns to health faster than expected. The Rookie of the Year race in the American League is decided between Carter Jensen and Max Clark. And J.J. Weatherholt wastes no time to establish himself as a 900-point juggernaut, alongside 6 other Grasshopper bats as well, to make the most well-rounded offense in the league. How it goes wrong is the age of the healthy arms takes its toll. Roki Sasaki is a bust. The age mix of his bats works against him each way, with the older bats declining and the younger ones not taking their next step. My trade piece of advice for him is to improve his bench depth, both hitting and pitching. Just a lot of depth that he needs. And then my bold prediction is that Jack's team misses the playoffs but wins the consolation bracket and receives the number 1 pick.
Okay. So I'll talk on Jack's team and then I'll turn it over to Bracton. It's crazy because if he could snap his fingers and like all of his injured players just became healthy, wouldn't we agree this is a top 3 team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if you just said boom and then all those dudes became healthy, I seriously think we're looking at a top 3 roster.
He's got IL arms better than most people's staffs. Like
Yeah,
just
look,
in
like
general.
just right now, you've got Kyle Stowers, Sean Murphy, Nick Lodolo, Jackson Joe, Pablo Lopez, Reese Olson, Spencer Schwellenbach, Blake Snell, Justin Steele, and Ronnie Henriquez. You interject all those guys into this roster, but yeah, you obviously that's not going to happen. I do agree that Roki Sasaki's and I don't know if you were saying he's a bust. I think you were saying there's a world where he is. I think he is. I think we can start admitting that at this point. It's hard for me to say 11. There's just too much talent here. Freddie Freeman, Weather Holt, Mikael Garcia, Jacob Wilson, Jaron Duran, Sal Stewart. I don't know. It's hard for me to look at this team, even with the injuries. You know, Luis Hill going down to the or not going down to the minors. Yeah, he is going to the minors. Is a problem. Sasaki sucking is a problem. Lodolo gets hurt the second Jack trades for him. But there's still Michael King, Luis Castillo, Clay Holmes, Bailey Ober, Cody Ponce. I don't know. He'll piece it together from pitching. I think the offense is enough to win some games. Would I have him 11? I don't know, but I just think that it's wild to me that he has so many injuries. He goes from probably a consensus top 3 team to an arguably bottom 4 roster. That's insane that there's that many injuries. Brockton, flip it over to you, man. Why did you put Jack at 11?
Paul and I are pretty much in sync on everything he has written down is exactly what I have written down. The arms get healthy and the bats stay healthy is how everything comes together, how it falls apart. The injury bug keeps hitting him, and J.J. Weatherholt sucks. I don't think that'll happen, though. I think he's going to be a dog. Areas of improvement, he knows he's got to get more pitching, more healthy pitching, I guess. But like we said, what is he going to, move there? Because he's got 7 pitchers in the IL that are better than most people's pitching staffs entirely. So just wait it out, and hopefully everybody comes back. But the bold prediction I have written down is that Roki Sasaki's a full-time reliever and not a very good one. So I think we are in all agreement about him being a bust, and I don't know if I would say trade him because I think he's invested too much in him and might as well just see it through at this point. But, I mean, I'm one to talk. I did the same thing with Spencer Torkelson. Here we are, right? Like, if you stay with him, hopefully there's a payout, maybe an IRL trade that gets him in a situation where he's actually going to start. I mean, the Dodgers have like 7 or 8 starting pitchers that I see getting time over him. Like, I think that Landon Knack could come up and start over him.
I agree.
Or just any of those types of guys.
I think Justin Robleski's a better option.
I was just about to say him too.
Sasaki.
Yeah, so it's tough, but I mean, in this league especially though, I do think that that SP relief pitcher eligibility dual type of pitcher is somewhat valuable though, because he can put him like in his starting pitcher spot. I don't think there's very many of those available on waivers right now, so Sasaki has some value still because of that and obviously the name, but Jack's not going to move him. I don't think. If he's not moving off Dominguez, he's not going to move him. So,
yeah,
that's it. All right.
Okay, let me pose to y'all before we move to 10. I do want to talk about JJ Weatherholt for a second.
Right.
And I want honest opinions because this is where I stand on him. He made the opening day roster. Everybody knows that. Jack should have called him up. Yeah, all that. Absolutely. What I want, I'm gonna give Paul, I'm gonna put Paul on the spot. I want a player comp for JJ Weatherholt. Who does he become? I'm curious about this. And Braxton, I'm going to do it to you. You got more time to think. I'm going to put Paul on the spot.
I think prime Ozzy Albies. What I would say is prime Ozzy Albies, 2020 guy. I think JJ Weatherholt's a 2020 guy.
Okay.
He had a high batting average. I think JJ Weatherholt has a high batting average. If you're telling me that this year JJ Weatherholt goes 280, 2020, I believe that. I'll buy that. I think his talent's there. I think that's what he is. And before I let Braxton take over, I am biased. I for sure will say that. I know Jack likes him probably the most, but if he's not, it's me. And right there is why he's a Mountaineer.
Yeah, he is. Braxton, who's your player comp to JJ Weatherholt? Do you have one?
The league's not going to like this, but did you know that Jackson Holliday's a year younger than JJ Weatherholt with more years of MLB experience? I was going to say NHL experience. MLB experience under his belt. I think they're the same player. And I think that the league universally loves JJ Weatherholt and hates on Jackson Holliday because I own him. But I'm telling you right now that Jackson Holliday will, when he comes back, is going to be a baller. And I think that you give even JJ Weatherholt a 2-month head start or however long Holliday's going to be out for, Holliday's still going to outscore him this year. Watch. I'm gonna call it. So
here
kind of reminds me of him. So yeah.
JJ Weatherholt. Why it's interesting to me is I do not disagree with anything you guys said. I actually, Jackson Holliday did kind of come to my mind. I think with JJ, I think there's really good contact skill, high batting average, high on base percentage. I don't know about the power and the speed. Paul mentioned 2020. That feels as more of a ceiling projection for me, like best case. 2020
Volpe got 2020 in his rookie year. In Jackson Weatherholt's or JJ Weatherholt's going to be better than Anthony Volpe, I think.
Yeah. So because he's not going to hit 210.
Well, I mean, that was a compliment. I mean, that's just me showing respect to JJ Weatherholt by comparing him to one of my guys. But he went 2020 his rookie year.
So Paul mentioned prime Ozzy Albies, right? When Ozzy Albies was the best. Was Ozzy Albies at his best ever a top 30 player in the league? Probably not.
Probably not. Top 50.
Fringe. I was gonna
Top
say
50?
Top 50. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
top
See, that is probably my skepticism on JJ Weatherholt. I don't think that what he's going to be is going to match the hype. Does that make sense?
I think that's fair.
And like, listen, if JJ Weatherholt's a top 50 player, that means he's a top 4 second baseman. Jack's pleased. I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying he's kind of talked about like cornerstone fantasy player, and I'm not sure a top 50 player is a cornerstone fantasy player. Is my angle. So I just find him to be interesting to me in that regard of how he's talked about and thought about. But if he hits 280 and goes 2020, that's a good year. But that's not gonna, you know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah, it's not Julio Rodriguez. It's not
right,
Ronald Acuna we're talking about here.
right.
I don't think Jack thinks that. I hope he doesn't, because he's in for a rude awakening if that's what he thinks.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about a second baseman, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think him playing second versus shortstop, fantasy wise, makes a huge difference in how he's valued.
Agreed.
Because a 2020 player as a shortstop is not looked upon the same as a 2020 player playing second base.
Mhm.
You know, and like you said, doing that, you probably top 3, top 4 second baseman, which I think JJ Weatherholt is and will be. But that same player playing shortstop is barely top 10,
Yeah.
which values change significantly. So I think
Yeah.
that is a good call out, I think, Cody.
Yeah. I just find it interesting just thinking, just, because I think it's easy to get caught up. I'm guilty of it too. We all are. Of when the prospect comes up and you just have it in your head like, oh, this guy's going to be incredible. When the reality is he's probably going to just be good, which is fine to just be good. But there's a big difference between good and incredible.
Right.
All right, so we'll move on. So you guys have been lockstep 14, 13, 12, and 11. We're at 10, and I am certain that this is where we go our separate ways in the rankings. There's no way that we're still the same. I'm actually going to go to Brackton first this time. Brackton, who do you have at 10?
All right, Paul. Do you have Smell at 10?
Nope.
Okay, yeah. So we're indifferent now. Look, I know that Smell is gonna probably be pissed at me for saying this, and I think that Smell has tremendously improved his team from last year because he finished second to last, only above me last year. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think he won 2 or 3 games, and it just gets overshadowed by my 0 wins by people just forgetting that Smell literally only won 2 or 3. So just wanted to point that out. But he has tremendously improved his pitching. I mean, Cease, Gilbert, Amai, Kirby, Nola. That's great. And then after that, what do we have here? It's just a bunch of lottery tickets and gambles. And we were just talking about how we want to have, 10, 11 reliable guys. And I just don't see it here. Everyone on his bench right now, Cavalli, Javier, Matthews, May, McClanahan, Tyone, SWR, Seymour, and Robleski, either haven't pitched, did pitch and were bad, were injured, or are injury prone. So there's major question marks there. How it all comes together is that staff, he finds 4 or 5 of those guys to actually produce, along with those surefire 5, and that his bats stay healthy. I do think that my bold prediction for him is that he actually does finish as a top 5 offense. I love his bats. I think he has a really good group there. So I think he finishes as a top 5 offense, but his pitching is in the bottom 4. So that's why I have him at 10. I want to see what Paul has to say though.
Okay, I'll go real quick, and then we'll get who Paul has at 10. For Smell, this is okay. I'm gonna go as far to say this is Scott's team, but like a year ahead, right? So like I feel like this is like Scott's team advanced a little bit. It looks like it could pop. I think that 10 is probably a fair ranking, a fair assessment. However, if I was putting money on it, I'm going higher than 10. I'm going, you know, anywhere from 6 to ninth, somewhere in there. Um, you're right, Braxton, about the pitching. I can't argue. There is good. He has improved it. There is a good anchor at the top, but then the depth is more than questionable. So he would have to have a lot of things go right for the pitching side of things. But before I go to Paul and who he has at 10, I want to say this: Scott is my case, or excuse me, sorry, Smell is my case study for the point I made earlier in this podcast. I think Smell's plan, and rightfully so, anybody should. He garnered all these picks and all these prospects. And he went into this offseason with a mode of I'm going to buy everything I can get my hands on and flip this thing instantly. I think he has improved, but I think he's ran into a wall. There's nothing else to buy because there's no one else selling anything worth buying. Does that make sense?
That's the case for a lot of people here too.
Right.
Me
So
too.
I think this is kind of what I mean by the new era of JLML. Whereas 4 years ago, Smell could have took this exact stable of prospects and in one night turned this roster into a top 5 team. Those days just aren't here anymore. There's not that kind of player movement anymore, especially the high end players that I'm sure Smell would be seeking. That being said, drastic improvement from where he was last year, and that should be noted. Drastic improvement. 10th is probably fair. I'm willing to bet just a little higher. So, Paul, I'll let you go now. Who do you have at 10th?
So this might drop a few jaws, but I actually have Emmerich in Fayetteville at 10.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I went through kind of and looked and yeah. Now I will make a caveat that I did make these rankings before the J-Rod trade. Factoring that in, he probably rises up a spot, maybe 2 spots. But I'm not changing everything just because of the trade, even though it was a big one. So I'll kind of do some quick Fayetteville talk here. How it all goes right. His prospect depth is turned into meaningful stars via trade or promotion and carries his team. Ronald Acuna is the MVP caliber bat that we've seen over a full season and leads all outfielders in points scored. I mean, maybe that's also J-Rod to talk about there as well. How it goes wrong is some of his bats, notably Zach Neto, Cal Raleigh, and Josh Naylor, are not able to replicate their 2025 success, and the unit as a whole is below average, league average, while the arms are unable to get healthy. My trade advice for him, which he kind of already did with his J-Rod trade, is to push his chips in and for 2026 by selling picks and prospects for win now talent, or pivot to a longer rebuild, but decide which path to take within the first month and be aggressive in that path. Like not kind of go back and forth of buying versus selling. Like pick a direction, go that way. Again, I wrote all this at 11 o'clock this morning. It seems like he has chosen that direction. It seems like he's pushing it all in. My bold prediction is that he misses the playoffs. I still will stand by that. But again, just to real quick talk on that J-Rod trade. It's a huge deal to get a player the caliber of Julio Rodriguez. I know I traded him. I got him. I traded for and him away just this offseason. I do think pairing him with a guy like Ronald Acuna is a massive deal. Um, could I be wrong? Could Emmerich make the playoffs? Of course. I mean, yeah, it's this team is talented. You know, Acuna, and J Rod. It's a stacked outfield. Brawley might be catcher one in this league. I do have pitching questions with him. Freddie Peralta's good, but there's a lot of question marks after that. Is Andrew Abbott for real? Is Chris Bassett gonna change or age and change? Um, there's a lot of question marks on this roster, plus all of his injuries. Losing Hunter Green for the first 3 months or so. What are we gonna see out of him? So yeah, it might be low. It's going to shock some people. Emmerich's going to get mad at me, but that's kind of what I saw as I was going through.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the negative first on Emmerich, and then I'll go to the positive. The negative 100% is the pitching. Joe Boyle, Chris Bassett, and Drew Rasmussen are in his top 5. Jake Irvin, Lucas Giolito doesn't even have a team. Miles McCullough, Zach Littell, Luis Severino. I don't know, man. Freddie Peralta's good, but when we're talking about some of these top dog teams, I mean, we just went over Smell and Scott's pitching. It blows this out of the water. It's not even close in comparison. That matters. That's going to matter a lot. The other negative thing I'll say is the year 2024. Do either of y'all know what happened in 2024? I'll tell you. J-Rod was an 800-point bat, and Acuna played in 49 games.
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying that Julio Rodriguez plays superstar every other year. He's a solid to good bat, then he's elite, then he's solid to good, then he's elite. Now, it's an even number year again. So, I mean, does he trend back to solid to good, or is he elite? What do you get there? The injury history on Acuna is well documented. That's going to be his team is very reliant on those two, in my opinion. And I would probably put Zach Neto in that category too. Very good player. Definitely has the same kind of injury question mark he's kind of carried around with him since he's been up. But ultimately, all that being aside, you could tell me Acuna and J-Rod are going to be superstars, 1,200-point players. And I still think I may agree with Paul, just because the pitching has went down tremendously. Like, tremendously in the last, I would say, 3 weeks with his trades. And then, of course, the Hunter Green injury is big. And I just don't think you can win in this league without pitching. I hang my hat on that. I think you got to have it. I think it's just, so. But the first time you two differed, so that was interesting. We had Smell at 10, and then Emmerich at 10. Okay, so we'll go to number 9. Paul, who do you have at number 9?
I have the Bismarck Larks at 9.
Okay.
And Bracton.
All right, let's talk it.
Let's get it. I'm ready. Rip it.
How it goes well, and I think a lot of this could happen. We'll see.
Okay.
I've been critical too, so we'll talk about it. Murakami drops 850 plus points. Jordan Walker is a stud outfielder, realizes his potential. Your 5 aces each go for 25 or more starts. Each of them average at least 22 points per start. And then your your 3 after are Glasnow, Rodon, and Barrios. And they each, are good and fortify what would then be probably the best top to bottom rotation in this whole league. That's how it goes well.
I appreciate that.
How it doesn't go well. Your aces have limitations implemented, and they each go under 120 innings. You don't have a single 900-point bat, and your offense finishes outside the top 10 in points scored. That's how it goes bad. My advice is you sell one or two of your pitchers for a downgrade, not getting rid of pitching, but take a step down from where they are in value, and get some bats. That's my advice. And my bold prediction, you'll love this. Our $25 bet isn't settled until week 19.
All right. We'll
Well,
see.
as in you could still pass me in record up until week 19, at which point I will have won the bet.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Should I talk about my team now since it was mentioned? I mean, we're on time crunch, so I'll just do it now so we can speed up when I get to myself and my rankings. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the pitchers. I mean, my team does not go right. It doesn't go where I'm thinking it goes without my 5 guys doing exactly what I think they're going to do, which I feel like there's a greater likelihood that they do than they don't, in my mind. I don't know if that's a consensus here, but I feel like my bats are the most underrated group in the league, given the amount that everyone talks about them. I mean, just looking at it, Diaz, Torkelson, Murakami, Tovar, Marcy, Robert, Simpson, and Holiday could all be 800 plus point bats, in my opinion. 750 the minimum. And if they do that and the pitchers do what I think they're going to do, then that's a totally competent offense with elite pitching. That's a playoff team to me, given the route that people have gone and the results that have happened in the last couple of years. I think that I have a lot of guys that are uncertain on hitting, and I'm banking on them to be good, and maybe that is biased in my rankings, but I feel like the pieces are here where that could happen. So that's all I'm going to say about my team, and I'm not going to go into too much more depth than that.
Before you go, Cody, can I just say something real quick to that? Braxton, I appreciate all that, but I just want you to understand the keyhole you're trying to thread with what you just said. That all 5 of your guys do what you think, and all 7 or so of the bats do what you think. Like 1 or 2 of each don't do what you think and underperform. Where is that going to leave you?
It's the same thing for every team, isn't it? I mean,
I understand. Yes, injuries, of course. Like injuries to star players change teams. I totally get that. But I feel like in the upper teams, at least, and I'm not even saying that I'm one of those, but in the upper teams, let's take Cody's team for example. He doesn't have Trey Savage. He doesn't have Spencer Strider for the beginning of the season. And I still think Cody's team will be just fine. Like, maybe he doesn't beat every single team by 100 plus points like he otherwise would on a healthy roster. But your team, my team, probably both of our teams at the end of the day don't have that luxury. If I lose Paul Skeens, I'm fucked.
Oh yeah,
if I lose Bobby Witt, I'm fucked. Like
But I don't think so. Like if I lose Mizurowski or Mizurowski goes on that innings count, I still have 9 pitchers that I feel very comfortable with, and that's not something everybody else could say. I think. Or if I lose Mizurowski and McLean, that would suck. But I still think I have at least 5 capable. So I don't know. I mean, it depends. I don't think I'm gonna finish in the bottom 10, or the 10 to 14. I don't think that's it. I think I'm gonna be hovering around 500, and if I am, and not in that bottom 10, or I keep saying it, 10 to 14 range, I think that I'm in consolation bracket winning territory, bare minimum. this team.
Fair.
So
Fair.
we'll see. And I have my first. I'm one of the only teams in the league that have my first for the next 3 years. So we'll see. I mean, Cody, I want to hear your thoughts on my team. I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, because I got them. I got thoughts on this team. All right. So you guys know how I feel about pitching. I do think that it is so important, and probably so important because of how hard it is to get, right? I do believe, Braxton, that your top 7 pitchers, I'm not going to count Carlos Rodon because Carlos Rodon's elbow counted himself out years ago. So I just can't factor him into this equation. And look at it this way, Braxton. If he gets
last
healthy,
year, by the way, just
do
saying.
what?
SP10 last year, by the way.
Right. But if he comes back for you and puts up those kind of numbers, then that's just icing on the cake of what you've already got, right?
Yeah.
So that's the point I'm making. But your top 7 pitchers, Mizorowski, Noah McLean, Cam Schlitter, Gavin Williams, Cade Horton, Nick Pivetta, and Tyler Glasnow. Those are your top 7. We can go further and talk about Rodon 8, Slade Ciccone 9. You know, you get into the Chris Paddocks and the Jose Barrios and what are you going to get and all that. I'm talking about your top 7. Your top 7 competes, in my opinion, with any team in the league's top 7 pitchers. I feel confident in that. Paul is right. When you're talking about a 24-year-old, a 24-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 25-year-old, there is real concern with what those teams allow that player to do, especially like Cam Schlitter's coming off a year where he threw like 90 total innings. Are the Yankees going to let him go from 90 to 200 or 90 to 190 or
I think
90
he's
to
the
even
most
180?
realistic one out of the 5 to go it because of the Yankees pitching injuries. They're going to ride him. They need him. If any of them I'm worried about is Cade Horton because the Cubs actually have pitching depth, in my opinion.
I would say the Yankees have pitching depth.
They're never going to be healthy
have
at the
a lot
same
of
time.
pitching depth.
Range, Ben Hess. I mean,
Will Warren,
Luis Heel.
Yeah, but to the point. Here's what I'll say. Listen, I'm over here on the boat with Trey Savage and Bubba Chandler. Y'all know what I paid for those 2 guys. Okay, I get it. Okay, they're in the same category. Trey Savage is only on the IL to limit his innings. He's literally throwing in games right now. He's not hurt. So I mean, it's already happening, and we haven't even started the season. For me, my counter argument to the limitations your guys may face is that you do have the depth to cover it. You made the comment, my 5 guys have to do what I think they do. I think I disagree with that. I don't think from a pitching, I'm talking about just pitching. I'm not talking about total team wins and losses. From your pitching, I don't think they have to do that. I think you can have a month where Misio's on the IL. I think you can have a month where Cade Horton is sent down to limit innings or something. You know, obviously you can't have it all at the same month. I mean, that would be a terrible. You'll go 0-4 if you lose all these guys at once. But I do think you've got the depth. If you need Nick Pivetta and Tyler Glasnow to step in and be aces, I think they can put up those kind of numbers still. Glasnow you have to worry about with injuries too. So you basically have to with every pitcher. I mean, I'm a Spencer Strider owner. I mean, I know what it's like with injuries. I think the pitching's fine, more than fine. The pitching is going to win you a lot of games. It's going to keep you competitive in every game. Now let's talk about your offense.
This is my point here, but go ahead.
Bragton, I'm being totally transparent with you when I say where I'm going with this. Honesty, transparency, zero bias. If I had it my way, you'd go 20-0. You know that. Well, 18-2 when you played me, but
I think I only play you once this year, so 19-1. I got you.
This is the genuine truth. I am not just concerned about your offense. I don't see, like, you mentioned I've got some guys here that can be 800-point bats. You're trying to get in the playoffs, man. Me and Jab put 800-point bats on our bench or trade them away. Like, I'm just being honest. Like John Height, his 800-point bat he is like some dude he picked up off free agency he doesn't care about. And that's my concern. You do have Murakami, I like. Marcy could be legit. Jackson Holiday, how long's he out? What does he do? You know, he's 22 years old. I'm by no means writing Jackson Holiday off. High-end talent. But I totally see a scenario where your offense has you insanely pissed off all season long. Because it may be the difference in your pitching being number 1, number 2 each week, and you losing matchups. That I'm serious. That's the difference in the pitching and the offense. And I don't know that it's fixable right now. I mean, if I go down this list and I tell you this, Bragton, Otto Lopez. Well, so I won't use him because of Jackson Holiday. That's not fair. Jackson Holiday is your second baseman. I'll give you that. He'll be back. Jackson Holiday's your second baseman. Murakami's never taken a major league at bat. And so, yes, consensus, or if we all voted right now, the guy's got uber power and he's going to hit a lot of bombs. There's a lot of detractors that say he's going to strike out 250 times and hit 190. You know, that's a real concern.
Well, I would be absolutely floored if that happens. There's no way.
But I'm just saying we don't know. We don't know.
I don't see that. I think that's the absolute worst case scenario.
Tovar is coming off an atrociously bad season. Luis Robert, atrociously bad. Jordan Walker is the epitome of atrociously bad.
Okay, Jordan Walker has been mentioned twice. Jordan Walker is not somebody I'm really relying on. Like he's
in your starting outfield right now.
Yeah, because I didn't put like Jordan, because I have Chandler Simpson on my UT. Chandler Simpson's going to be that guy, I think. Like if we're talking about my outfield, top to bottom. It's Marcy, Robert, Simpson, and then maybe even Casey. Right now, I'm going to call Casey up pretty soon. I've been waiting for him. Well, yeah, we're talking about Benj and all these other guys, JJ Weatherholt and all these people. Like, you don't know. Casey had a great spring training. Like, we're going to see. Why is it my narrative that my rookies suck and everybody else's rookies are great? Like, we're gonna.
Hold on. We're talking worst case scenarios here.
But we're not talking worst case scenario with everybody else. That's what I'm saying.
I said worst case scenario for every team so far.
Well, we're gonna see.
Bragton, hold on. Okay, Bragton, I'll give you this. Let's say best case scenario. Murakami's a dog. Owen Cassie's a dog. I still think your offense isn't top 10. That's my. It's not that I'm saying worst case scenario, the offense isn't great. Bragton, be honest with me. Do you roster one player that would start on mine or Jab's offensive teams?
Would start on your team? Let me see.
Yeah.
You're starting Jordan Lawler and C.A. Rafaela right now. Are those the two you want me to compare for this?
That's fine. Yes.
Okay. I think that Murakami, Torkelson, Holiday, and Marcy are all better than Cedane Rafaela and who was the other guy I mentioned? Cedane Rafaela and Lawler.
Jordan Lawler.
Yeah, I think that they're all four of those guys are better than those two, and I don't think it's close. We'll see.
Marcy has
let me go to
55
Jabs.
career games.
Okay, let me go to Jabs. Hold on. Let me just answer the question here. Hold on. Jab.
Holiday's your best bet.
I think that the Jab starting Teoscar Hernandez, who again I think is worse than those four, and I think Salvador Perez is worse than those four. So yeah, I think there's two. But I mean, we're talking about the undisputed number 2 teams in this league. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to win the championship this year, guys. I'm saying I'm going to either be a close to playoff team or playoff team, and win the consolation bracket is the floor. Being the consolation bracket is the floor for my team, or being the consolation final is the floor for my team. That's what I think. But I don't know about the narrative that I don't have any starting bats on the top tier teams, because I don't think we're going to go around saying Cedane Rafaela and Jordan Lawler are these surefire 800 to 1,000 point bats. I think if we're going to bet on it, I would take any of my 4 to outscore those guys. That's just my opinion. You asked.
I take Holiday over Rafael.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take Holiday over Lawler?
But hey, I still think Rafael's close to a 900 point bat. He was last year.
Yeah. I think Holiday is.
He had 783 points last year.
But not Jacob Marcy.
Okay, he had 783 points last year. Rafael. It wasn't close to 900.
So it's 800. How old is he?
26.
25.
25.
He's a good player. He's a bench bat, though. Like, especially on your team. Like, if you had kept Julio Rodriguez and Tatis in them, right, then he would have been a bench bat. And he's a great bench bat. I've tried to trade for him. I had him multiple times this offseason. I think he's a good player. But I'm not going to say that, like, all of my guys are worse than Cedane Rafael. Like, if we're looking at Hen and Heights teams, I say the same thing with them, with my guys. I'm not comparing myself to you and Jab at the moment. Like, my goal is to be around that 5-6 range. So I compare myself to Hen and Height, and I think that my 4 guys would start over a lot of Hen and Heights guys. Some of them.
When you say your 4 guys on offense, go over who are those 4 again?
Torkelson, Marcy, Murakami. Yeah. Torkelson, Murakami, Marcy, and Holiday. Those 4.
Yeah, I would take Torque over those guys too.
Yeah.
That still doesn't make your offense great, though.
I'm not saying it does, but if we're making the point that I don't have a starting caliber bat on the top 2 teams, I think that's very false.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the last thing I'll say here, because we got to move on, is
we gotta speed this up.
I think your bats will lose you more games than your pitching will win you games this year.
Okay, and that's fair.
That's my lasting thought. Unless you take my advice, move one of those guys again. Don't change, because listen, and this is the last thing I'll say, because we had this argument a month ago or so. I've looked more into it, and you've also made more deals since. I do think your pitching as a whole is better than my pitching as a whole currently. I think I will admit that, but your bats do not hold a candle to mine. That's where the difference is.
Okay.
It's all so.
We'll see.
It's funny because you got it. Braxton feels like he's chasing the wheel, right? He's like, I got the arms, and now y'all are complaining about my bats.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's got to be balanced. I get it.
Baseball.
I get it. But like we were talking about before, and this is the last thing I'll say, is that this league, Cody and I were just saying it before we got on, was whoever deals with injuries the best and whoever navigates them and whoever doesn't have them is what's going to be successful. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
true. I mean,
Nothing else we say will matter. That's
Yep.
it.
yeah,
We'll see.
that's it. That's it. You guys are spot on. Okay,
All right.
that was number 9.
Yes.
Okay, and
We gotta
Paul
go
had
fast.
Bracton, and Bracton had.
We haven't talked about my 9 yet.
Okay, who do you
Yep.
have 9?
Chad.
Oh,
I think that people are massively overrating Chad's team. I love his bats, but I don't love his arms outside of SP3. I think let me pull up his team because I have these notes written for when I was looking at them. Hold on one second. Okay, so Yamamoto obviously top 5-10 pitcher in the league. Cole Reagan's dog, but people have their worries about him. I don't. I think he's great. Trevor Rogers, and who knows about Jack Leiter. Question marks start after Trevor Rogers. Question marks start after Cole Reagan's with me. Rogers and Leiter are good, I think. Cantillo's okay, but then look at his bench right now. It's a lot of green flags for minors. It's a lot of unproven guys like JT Ginn and Brandon Williamson and Sawyer Gibson Long. I know he has pitching prospects that are good that are going to come up, but I don't know, man. I don't see it with the pitching. I think that his bats are amazing, but some of them are injury prone. I don't know how a 33-year-old Machado is going to do after a down year. I don't know how a 31-year-old Seager is going to do. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of questions with this team that people aren't necessarily asking because we're getting bogged down in the Tatises and the Yamamotos of the world, as we should. But I don't know, man. I don't see it with this.
okay. So I personally really like Chad's team. However, and I'm going to be in the minority in this, and I wish I didn't have to bring it up because I was the one he did the trade with. But I did not like the Fernando Tatis trade for Chad. Trey Savage is someone that I believe his team needed bad. I think his offense was already good enough, and it's just easier with Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager, Ozzy Albies, Vinny Pasquantino, Hunter Goodman, Samuel Basallo, Andy Pages, whatever. I think the offense was fine, more than fine, and I think Savage was someone that he really, really, really needed to go along with your Yamamotos and your Ragans, and I think losing that hurts because I do think the pitching is what is going to hold Chad back from being a top 3 or 4 team. I definitely wouldn't have him at 9 personally. I would have him more in that 4 to 6 range. But yeah, I can't really argue with any point Bracton made either because there is serious questions on the pitching side, and I just think that the offense is good enough to carry. And I do think there's ample offense to trade for pitching if he can find someone willing to sell pitching, which is the whole point. The topic of this podcast has been how do you get pitching? Honestly, Chad and Bracton need to be in each other's PMs right now. That's my opinion. They need to be discussing options because they match up on a trade really, really well, in my opinion. And so for me, I kind of rank Bracton and Chad pretty similarly in that 4 to 6, 4 to 7 range. One has pitching, one has offense. Neither team is complete. Which one stands out? It's going to be interesting to see. So, anyways, we'll move on to number 8.
Wait, before
Paul,
we do that,
I
was gonna say my bold prediction for Chad was that Mason Miller actually converts to a starter, yet he still has the best relievers in the league. I think that Chad's closers are awesome, and when Hader comes back, he won't miss a step when Miller comes starting pitcher. That's going to really help him. That's what I think.
Have you looked at my relievers?
Yeah, I know. Chad's relievers are awesome. Like, I can pull it up. Hold on.
We'll get to Chad's team when I rank
Okay.
him, but one of my bold predictions was that he has the best bullpen in the league.
Oh, there we go. See, that's crazy. You and I are very on sync tonight, Paul.
Cody, I've seen your bullpen.
Andres Munoz.
2 months ago, I did not like losing him. I'll say that.
Okay, hey, Paul.
8. I have Connor and Amarillo at 8. So I know that he was a playoff team last year, but it's only one step down from where he was last year. How it all goes right. Corbin Carroll's a top 5 bat. Jackson Merrill rebounds from a down 2025. Logan Webb, Jacob deGrom, and Sandy Alcantara form the deadliest pitching trio in the league. How it all goes wrong is his older bats decline, including Trey Turner, Francisco Lindor, and Corbin Carroll, the Hamate Bros. They're impacted by breaking their hamate bones and combined for under 30 home runs together. And then he has no help from outside of that top trio from his rotation. My advice to him is bullpen help. See about going and getting a top 10 closer to headline that position, kind of balance out his arms. My bold prediction for Connor is that he wins 12 games, makes the playoffs, and rosters under 40 prospects and picks after week 20.
Okay, yeah. So Connor, man, what an interesting team. And this is where, Paul, you kind of mentioned it. We're definitely in the thick of it, of like teams that could be second or third and teams that could be a 10th or 11th. Like it's kind of all up in the air. I really like Connor's team. I think Connor's done a fantastic job this offseason building this team. I do think that we kind of nudged him, the LM committee, with the role on the prospects. He was probably a little mad about it when it happened. I think looking at this roster, he should be pretty happy that we did it, because he's made moves and gotten this team in a much better position. I think he's going to have a very strong season. There are still some holes. I don't love Jonathan Aranda as a first baseman. And again, that's me comparing him to the top teams in the league. Jose Altuve is like 36. I do love Jazz. Trey Turner's a dog. Cody Bellinger's a dog. Corbin Carroll's elite. Jackson Merrill, it's got to be there, right? The talent's there. He's been elite in the past. Can he get back there at age 22? Addison Barger's a solid utility player. Probably don't love Trent Grisham there, but if he hits enough home runs, it can matter. Wilson Contreras got some depth, and he's still got a bunch of prospects to make moves. When you look at the pitching, I still think, again, Connor may have ran into a wall trying to acquire pitching. I just don't think there was enough out there to really rebuild his staff. That being said, it's better than it was last year, and last year he won a playoff game. So, that matters. Where, Paul, you've got him at 8. It's hard to argue against that. That means there's 7 teams ahead of him. I would probably say on paper 7 teams are better, but that really doesn't mean too much because we got to play the games. And so, I think that's a fair ranking. Braxton, who did you have at 8?
I have Connor at 8 as well, and everything that Paul just said, I agree with. And my bold prediction was that I was going to say that he only has one bat that's going to exceed 1,000 points, and that's Carroll. So I'm not as in love with the bats as some people are, but I think that, like you said, he has 3 legit pitching and the assets to go acquire more. So maybe this ranking isn't as up to date, but I see him at that 8 slot is a good consolation team, and I think he does have his first round pick too, so that might actually mean something, and it's a good draft. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we're in the thick of the rankings where, man, the variables are there. We got a lot of good teams, a lot of competitive teams. So it's going to be interesting to see. All right, Paul, who do you have at 7?
This will get contentious. I have Clearwater. I have Hen at 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know he's not going to like it. I do like Hen. I promise. Very much could be wrong here, but how it all goes right is Geraldo Perdomo is legit again in 2026. Jordan Alvarez wins comeback player of the year. Zach Wheeler throws 150 plus innings of 25 plus points per start, and 6 of his starting pitchers each get over 23 points per game. What all can go wrong is Ryan Weathers continues his hot and cold career in a hitter-friendly ballpark. Kyle Schwarber and Jose Ramirez begin career declines, and his bullpen options each lose out on save chances, and none of them are closers for their teams. I think that's actually a little bit possible if you look at his bullpen. My trade advice for him is to sell 1 or 2 older pitchers for some prospect and hitting depth. And my bold prediction for Hen is he misses the playoffs just barely, finishing 7th in a vastly improved league around him, only a year after claiming his first franchise title.
Yeah. So I think that this team is probably the one that I am most confused about, because it seems like, even with what you just said, like it was almost like it was a hot take to rank this team 7th. I actually think that means you're bullish on this team. Like you're higher on this team than what it should. Like I just don't. You said the things that needed to go. Can you read those again? The things that need to go right. You are like Perdomo.
Perdomo being legit again in 2026. That's legit being over 1,000-point bat.
Okay.
That's what it was last year.
No
Jordan
shot.
Alvarez wins comeback player of the year.
Okay.
Probably over 1,000 points, because that's what he's been in his career before his injury last year. Zach Wheeler throws 150 plus innings at 25 points per game. Again, basically Hen's team running it back from last year, or
Okay.
Jordan's case 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then 6 of his pitchers going over 23 points per start. Which, if you look at his pitchers, that's what their projections are. But I think he needs it.
Okay. And I say this with the straightest face possible. Do either of you think all of those happen?
I clearly don't, because I'm the one that's putting him at 7.
Braxton?
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead. All right, real quick, I'll go.
Yeah.
I think Wheeler has problems. I think Perdomo's not that guy. I think he's fine. I think he's a good, solid 800 to 900 point bat. Which, again, if you look, 13 months ago, if somebody told you that Geraldo Perdomo is a 900 point bat, you would laugh at that.
Yeah.
Not even the 1,100 point bat that he was last year. You know what I'm saying? Like he popped out of absolutely nowhere. Which, again, props, because Perdomo was moved back and forth. I had him last year.
I had him too.
I mean, he was unbelievable last year. But I feel like a lot of stars aligned for Hen last year that he now still has. Could it happen again? Of course, it could have happened again. I just think a lot has to line up for top 5, or I mean, certainly for repeat success. But I mentioned it when I was doing my best and worst case scenarios. The league around Clearwater, and just in general, has significantly improved. Last year you could pretty easily tell. These 8 or 9 teams have a chance. These 5 or 6 teams don't. And that's just not the case. Like I said earlier, I think 2 teams, pretty consensusly, we just can all say, yep, they're not making the playoffs this year. That leaves 12 teams for 6 spots. And yeah, it's going out on maybe a limb to have the reigning champ be the 7th team and the first team out, but it's still more a testament to the league than it is a detriment to Hen's team. That's kind of how I saw it and how I'm thinking going forward, thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have no. I didn't rank Hen 7. I'm going to get to who I put 7, but I agree. I've been very vocal about Geraldo Perdomo regressing. I've joked with him in voice a million times. He seems to think he's going to be fine. I just think he's going to get 800 points. I think he's. Yeah, well, I think he's 800 to 900 point bat, guaranteed. But all right. I also agree with you because my bold prediction for Hen's team was that Zach Wheeler's cooked and he's not going to get anything from him. That being said, I still think he's got 7 pitchers that I love and that he's got decent pitching depth to where 1 or 2 of those guys hit, he's going to be fine. I'm not going to say where I ranked him because we're going to say that later, but
could you list the 7 pitchers that you love?
Sure. Hold on, let me look it up. Hold on. Eduardo Cabrera, Max Fried, Jesus Luzardo, Christopher Sanchez, that's 4. Ranger Suarez, 5. Jacob Lopez, 6. Joe Ryan, 7. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you
Jacob
5.
Lopez.
I'll give you 5, but Jacob Lopez and Ranger Suarez in Boston. Right. Ranger Suarez may have an ERA north of 6 this year.
Well, that's 7, not counting Manaea, Weathers, and Wheeler, who he might get something from.
Manaea doesn't even have a job
as of now, but
starting.
As of now, I don't think that's the right move from the Mets personally, because I actually like Manaea, but I think that he's got 10 guys there that he can get something from, 7 of which he's gonna get something from. So we'll see. I have his pitching as the 4th best pitching in the league, and I'm going to rank him 4th. I'll just say it now. I put him at 4. Actually, wait, no, I put him at 3. Sorry. I had him above John Haidt because him and John Haidt's team are very similar to me, but I like Hen's pitching better, and that was the deciding factor. So I had Hen at 3. And I'll go into more detail why when we talk about it later. But yeah, but as far as your going right stuff, I don't think that Jordan does anything near 1,100 point, 1,000 point. I think he's solid, and I think the rest of Hen bats are solid. But I think that pitching is what's going to help Hen win a lot of games. So we'll see. But I can say who I put 7 now. I actually put you, Paul, at 7. So if we want to have the Paul conversation now, we can do that. I mean, my bold prediction for you was that you only have 1 20-point per game pitcher, and it's Skeens. I don't trust Bradish. I don't trust Gausman. And who was the other one? Gallen. I like Gallen, but I don't know that he gets 20 guaranteed. If there is going to be a second 20-point per game pitcher, it's going to be him. But we already talked about how you've kind of lowered on your pitching, but your bats are where they obviously are the upper tier of the league. So the same stuff you had with my team and about the pitching winning more games than the hitting can help me with, or whatever that line was, that's how I feel about your team and the pitching. So I think you're going to be in the top 5 in hitting points every week, but I think you're going to be very low in pitching points, except for the weeks that Skeens has 2 starts, which isn't going to be every week, and I just hope I play you when he has 1 start and it's against a good team. But we'll see. That's just where I'm at. I've been vocal in voice, and we've had those conversations, and everybody knows about it. And then we have our bet, obviously, but I have you 6, or I have you 7 and me 6, and we already talked about my team. So it could easily be flip flopped, or I could be way down, like we've talked about. But if we're just talking about my rankings, and that's how I had it. So.
How do you want to go, Cody?
So since we went from Hen's team to Paul's team, I'm looking at 2 very different rosters. And I mean, outside of Bryce Terang over Matt McClain, this is it's not close. It's not even comparable to me. William Contreras versus Tyler Stevenson. I mean, I guess you could say Jose Ramirez over Austin Riley. I think Austin Riley's about to have a insane elite season, personally. And then, but every other position, I think Paul's better than him at top to bottom. I don't even think. But again, I guess it's just the way that you view the players. Like, you know, if you think that Hen's got 7 strong pitchers, you're going to think he can have a good season. I think he's got 4. I think he's got 4. And so I just don't see. And then, of course, I've got a ton of issues with his bats. I think his offense is terrible. Terrible. I like Kyle Sorber. But, yeah, I mean, you know, anyways, on to Paul's team. Love the offense. Don't love Wilyer Abreu as outfield 3. Paul knows that. I've told Paul that. I don't personally love that. But the rest of the offense, I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is the best player in the game. I truly believe Austin Riley is healthy and going to have an insane year in an insane lineup. Pete Alonso is one of the best first basemen in the game. William Contreras is one of the best catchers in the game. O'Neal Cruz is very interesting to me. Does he take a step forward and make more contact? That's what we're waiting on. We obviously know the power is tantalizing. And, you know, from a fantasy perspective, O'Neal Cruz is a higher end outfield 2-bat. Michael Harris is solid. He's going to do what he does, 900 points. That's solid. I think that Colson Montgomery sitting on Paul's bench is sneaky good. I think Carson Williams sitting in Paul's minors is sneaky good. I think that not only gives him trade ammo to maybe improve a Matt McClain, to maybe improve a Wilyer Abreu, or just plug those guys into his utility spot and roll. I think either one of those are positive for Paul. The pitching is the topic of the day, right? Paul's pitching. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball. No one's going to argue that.
Yes, they will.
Well, I will.
I won't.
I don't see how. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball. Kyle Bradish as my 2 is probably not what I would be comfortable with, but I don't think it's terrible. Kevin Gossman as my 3. I'm a lot higher on Kevin Gossman than Bracton. Personally, even though he's 35, I know that, but I do think he's a 22 point per game pitcher. He has been for like 5 years in a row. I think that Zach Gallen is a like stealth paid assassin on Paul's roster, because everyone looks at his 2025 season as the total numbers, and they don't look at what he did the last 2 to 3 months of the season. If you look at Zach Gallen the last 2 to 3 months of the season, he was a top 10 pitcher in baseball. He had an issue. It was probably some kind of injury mechanic deal. He clearly worked that out. And I think I think that could be very useful to Paul, to the point to where maybe his number 2 isn't Bradish, it's Gallen. Bradish slots down to his number 3, and then we're looking at this rotation completely different. When we look at it from a depth perspective, that would probably be where my concern is. I think that's where Paul's concern is. I like Braxton Ashcraft. I like Johan Oviedo if he was on another team. I like Max Meyer if he can stay healthy. And then I don't like either of the Rockies pitchers, and Justin Verlander's 60. So we do tail off there, okay? There's some depth concerns there, but I feel like I'm splitting hairs talking about them. I think the offense is good enough to beat anybody, any week. Then can Paul Skeens, Zach Gallen, Kyle Bradish, and Kevin Gossman be enough to where the offense is there with the top teams in the league, neck and neck? Can those guys be enough? That's my question. I think most weeks, yes. But it probably not enough to put you top 2. Probably not confident enough to put you 3. I would probably have you 4 right now. If you fix the pitching depth, you're top 3. That's my stance on this team.
Before you go, Paul, I just want to address a comment Cody made earlier about how the bats between Hen and Paul aren't comparable. The Stevenson-Contreras thing, obviously I give it to Paul. Olsen-Alonso, I think it's close, but I give it to Paul. I take Terang over Matt McLean. I take what's his name? Ramirez over Riley. I take that. I take Witt over Perdomo, obviously. I take Jordan for Hen over O'Neal Cruz, even if Jordan doesn't come back and be that much of a dog that everybody thinks he is. I still think Jordan at 85% is better than Cruz at 100%. I think that that Michael Harris is better than Taylor Ward, obviously. Burleson Abreu, that's a wash to me. I think that Schwarber is very much better than Spencer Spear, and I think that Paredes is better than Chapman. So that's 4 advantages to Paul and 6 to Hen, in my opinion, and I don't think that that's particularly outrageous in my mind. So to say they're not comparable, I don't think that that's right.
I think so I was giving my opinion, and I disagreed with like 70% of what you just said.
What parts?
So I'm going to take Contreras over Stevenson, but I think we've got to dive into that a little bit more too, because I think that's like a 500-point swing. So that's more than just Paul's got the advantage, Contreras to Stevenson. I think that's a drastic advantage. I think Alonso and Matt Olson are a wash. I'll give you that. I would even say we'll call that a tie and not even count it. I take Terang over McLean, not going to argue that. I'd stand flat-footed with anybody and say if this season ends and Austin Riley's the number 1 third baseman in scoring, I'm not surprised.
I hope you're right. I have him in other leagues. I don't see that happen. So
Joe Ram's like 34 now. It's going to tail off. I don't love the Guardians offense. I love the Braves offense. I just think Riley's coming off the best spring training of his career. I just think he's going to blow up and have a huge year personally. I think Bobby Witt puts Geraldo Perdomo in a fucking dumpster and lights it. That may be a 600-point gap between catcher and shortstop. The advantages to Paul should count as like 3 each. I'm dead serious. Yordan Alvarez, I think, plays in 30 to 40 games this year. So I would take O'Neal Cruz over him. Harris over Taylor Ward. Jesus fucking Christ. And then
I said all that. Yeah.
Do what?
I said all that. Yeah. We're not
and then
disagreeing
Wilyer
on much.
Abreu against who?
Alec Burleson.
Brendan Donovan.
Alec Burleson, it's a wash.
Alec Burleson, give me Abreu, but close. And then I don't think Steer and Chapman is Paul's utility bats. I would put Colson, Montgomery, and Carson Williams in that category.
Then that makes it even more lopsided to me. If we're talking about lopsided for multiple things, Schwarber's going to be a 1,000-point bat this year.
I agree.
think, and I think that Paredes is probably 750 floor, 900 ceiling. So anybody you want to throw in there, I don't think that matches up that way. But
I think
I want to get
Montgomery 750 floor, 900 ceiling.
Maybe the same thing y'all were saying about strikeouts with Murakami applies to him, if not more. So I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to get cut off in 15 minutes, and I want to get Paul to talk about his team here. So
okay.
I'm just saying, to say they're not comparable when we agreed on most of them, there is, I don't know. We'll see.
It's not comparable to me. It's Kyle Schwarber over, and then Bryce Terrain. That's it. I mean, I don't think it's and I think the gaps, like if Hen wins, it's like, that's a slight win. And then we're talking Bobby Witt to Perdomo. That to me is 5 wins a season in one advantage. And then Contreras, I mean, I don't know. It's not comparable to me. It's not comparable to me. And Hen doesn't have 2 pitchers combined that equal Paul Skeens. I don't. Really? I think the rosters are.
Christopher Sanchez had how many less points than Skeens last year? Or last year? It wasn't that much.
I didn't think about Christopher Sanchez.
I was going to say
Christopher Sanchez.
855.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're not even going to look.
I forgot about Christopher Sanchez.
All right. Wait. 14 minutes, Paul. I want you to go scorched earth on me. I deserve it.
No, I'm not going to do that. You want me to go now or when I rank myself, Cody? Like, should I talk about my team now?
I think you should do it now because we've all talked about it. So we'll talk about it. Like, I'm not going to talk about mine. I just said I'd rank myself 6, so we've already talked about me. So yeah, go. I think you should go now.
Okay. Well, I'll give my spiel about myself and then I'll talk about myself. How it all goes right. The American League MVP Bobby Witt Jr. and the NL Cy Young winner Paul Skeens lead the way, combined with strong rookie performances, both from hitting and pitching. How it all goes wrong. Having the team's identity consist of 2 players backfires. The pitching prospect depth stays in the minors, and no help comes to the pitching side, leading to piling losses. A piece of trade. I did it. It was kind of dumb, but a piece of trade advice for myself is to use my prospect depth to push the chips in the middle for 2026, a year that can be won with pushing the right buttons. And then a bold prediction for myself: the Tides boast highest point total for hitting points in 2026, but it doesn't equal success as this team barely clinches the 5 seed in the final week of the season. So, number one thing I want to say, based on what Braxton said, was that Bradish isn't good, Gossman isn't good, and Gallen isn't good. Any idea? And you said none of them would have 20 points to start, right?
That's my bet, is that none of them finish above 20 points per game this year.
Braxton, that would be quite a bet because besides this past year from Gallen, any idea what all 3 of those guys have done literally their entire careers?
Bradish hasn't
20 points or more per start is the answer there.
How many games has Bradish played in the last 2 years combined? Like
last year, he had 6 starts. The year before,
so he had 20 points per game in 6 starts.
14. Point being, he's a good pitcher. Is the point there? And I get, maybe they'll baby him a little bit. I can't come to you with what I said about your pitchers without self-acknowledging that maybe my second best gets babied as well. I think they'll need more from him than the Yankees will from Schlittler, than the Mets will from McLean. But the Kevin Gossman hate is ridiculous. He's 35. He's not 55. To say that he won't be a 20-point starter, I think is insane. His team behind him is really good. He's the ace of that staff, if you don't count Dylan Cease, and the Blue Jays aren't because Kevin Gossman's the opening day starter. Zach Gallen, opening day starter. And like Cody said, top 10 pitcher down the stretch last year. Another guy that, again, if you don't count last year, all he's done in his career is go over 20 points to start. I get that I cashed a lot of chips for Paul Skeens. Totally get that. Would I do it again? Not even a slight hesitation. I know I cashed in a lot of chips for Bobby Witt. Would I do it again? A slight hesitation, but probably, yeah, I still would do that. And I would do it because I feel confident in what I've built around Bobby Witt in terms of my bats. You know, I've taken calls on William Contreras this offseason. Nobody's met what I wanted, and that's fine. It's a catcher. I get
tried.
it. I know. I think Cody maybe tried once. I've fought off everybody that's tried, and I've put him out there. It's not that people are coming unsolicited. I've put him out there. I think he's catcher one. I don't think he's catcher two. I think he's catcher one. I think he's more complete than Cal Raleigh. I like the offense around him better overall than Seattle. I think J-Rod's better than anybody in Milwaukee. But I like the 1-9 better than I like the 1-9 in Seattle. I also like the ballpark better in Milwaukee than Seattle. Plus, Cal Raleigh's due for regression. There's no chance he's hitting 60 home runs again.
Agreed.
Pete Alonso in a new ballpark, I think he hits 40 home runs. I think Matt McLain, we see a 2020 Matt McLain again. I think he's a top 5 second baseman. Austin Riley's been talked about. I agree with everything Cody said there. I think we see breakouts from O'Neal Cruz. I think we see Michael Harris take more walks, strike out less. Batting average goes up. Alex Cora said that Wilyer Abreu is going to be an everyday player this year. Whether that's true or not, I can only go off of what the manager is saying. But we're forgetting Chase DeLauter. Chase DeLauter this spring has been unconscious. He hit 2 home runs yesterday against Merrill Kelly, major league pitcher. Guy that's been doing it forever. Yeah, by far his big question is health. Will he stay healthy? That's not something we can predict. If I can get 130, 140 games out of Chase DeLauter, I guarantee he gets 850 to 900 points. That he is my outfield 3. Guarantee it. So I think it's fair to question my arms at the end of the day, because outside that 5 or so are a lot of question marks. I fully agree. I think Max Meyer is going to be good this year. Maybe he won't be. I still believe in Chase Dollander. Maybe that's misplaced. I believe in guys that I've bought on the farm, including Noah Schultz, including J.R. Ritchie. There's guys that are escaping me now, but I believe in those type guys. Carson Wisenhunt. And I believe they'll help me this year. I mean, I'll say it now. I ranked myself 4. I came down from 3 from the last time we did this. But yeah, I think I'm a playoff team. I don't know that I'm a playoff team. I've said many times I think that this league has grown up a lot. I don't think there's any pushovers, maybe besides the two that we've discussed. But yeah, I'm not gonna say you guys are wrong and I'm right, or Hen I'm sure is gonna say something that I've ranked him lower than me. Height's gonna say something because Height is also ranked according to me lower than I am. But that's how I see it. I mean, I feel like my team, top to bottom, is pretty complete. I don't see a glaring hole, glaring weakness at any position. We forgot Moises Ballesteros. Shout out Moises Ballesteros. So yeah, uh, that's kind of how I see my team. That's kind of been my vision this off season. So we'll see how it plays out. I make no promises, and if it starts going south, maybe I sell some pieces. I don't know, but I can tell you that the Tides will be led by Paul Skeens and most likely Bobby Witt for a pretty long time.
Yeah. Again, I just think it's pitching depth. I think that's fair to question. That there's just too much. It's too much of a solid team, in my opinion. I see, we went over these teams, these last couple teams, and it's been like, okay, well, this team's good on offense, but the pitching sucks. Or this team's good on pitching, but the offense sucks. And I think Paul's just got too much of both to fall back. My concern is pitching depth just because I know how much it matters. And you brought up a great point that I left off. I think that J.R. Ritchie makes meaningful starts this year in Atlanta sooner rather than later. And I think that adds into the pitching depth. Noah Schultz, I just don't know. I don't know. The White Sox are hard to predict with kind of the way that they go about things. And I think there's been some control issues with him. I think that's what's kind of held him back so far, and he's got to figure that out. But obviously, there's like nobody in that rotation that's standing in his way. If he has a dominant April in the minors, I mean, he's up in May, right? I mean, there's no reason not to be. So, that's going to matter a lot. The pitching depth, and so that's probably what keeps you out of the top 3 for me. But again, I would probably have you at 4. So. Yeah, but anyways, guys, we're gonna stop right there. Did we get through? Hold on, where are we at, guys? That was number.
We did the first 7. Yeah,
7.
Yeah.
And Braxton, you had Paul 7, correct? Yeah. Paul, did we give your 7th team?
Yeah, it was Connor.
It was Hen, right?
It was Hen.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Hen.
It was Hen.
Connor was great.
Okay, got you. Okay, all right. So that's where we're gonna stop. We will finish the second part of this podcast, the top 6 teams, and then we'll get into some of the mailbag questions. But obviously, we went longer. We always do. There's a lot to different opinions, different viewpoints, guys. That's what makes this so fun. We all see it differently. And you guys will watch this and call us all idiots and disagree with everything we're saying. That's part of it. That's why we do it. But guys, I had a lot of fun with both of you tonight. We will get together and plan out when we're going to do the second part of this. Hopefully soon. Hopefully tomorrow night. If it works for you guys, we'll discuss that later, and we'll let everybody know. But we'll sign off, and we will be back for part 2 of our preseason ranking. Thanks, guys.